Hey guys, I actually wasn't planning on doing any kind of a video today. I took today to kind of relax and just screw around. The only thing I technically did was like streamed on Twitch. So beyond that, I consider this type of video kind of like a work video because I'm expending energy towards something instead of just existing. Today was just an exist day, but I've been having this conversation with myself that won't leave my brain, and I've been told sometimes that's actually supposed to be a divine message. So what hasn't been leaving my brain is fate. The thing I'm going through right now, and anything I speak of is also from the 3D experience I have and whatever 5D energy is trickling down. So I've always watched anime and cartoons and movies. People always talk about destiny and fate and blah 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 blah. It's always been a very controversial topic. One, because people don't like the idea of not having control of their life and their situation. Some people use it as an excuse and say, oh, I was just fated to fail. I was destined to be a failure. Destined to doom. Doomed. No, I don't know whatever. Anyways. But if you've ever watched a cartoon or an anime or something, one I'm specifically thinking of is Naruto. He actually, the entire thing about him is him defying quote-unquote destiny or fate. The dude actually got stuck. If y'all don't know the anime, if you don't watch anime, it's a story, and here's some spoilers. Just FYI. Spoilers. The story is about a dude who got screwed at birth. He was imbued with some kind of monster, and it caused the entire village to hate him. You can say he has a destiny, he has a fate, whatever. He was doomed to be a monster, he was doomed to be a bad guy. But he didn't. He didn't let it destroy him, he didn't let it break him, destroy him. So he essentially changed his course of fate. In fact, there was actually an episode where he fought an enemy who turned out to be a friend later, who actually talked about fate. It was a whole episode. He's like, you can't defy fate, you're going to lose. I'm stronger than you, I've worked harder, aka I'm fated to be better than you. You are born of blah 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 blah, and just kept going on this whole spiel. Well, go figure, Naruto kicks his ass. It whoops him good. And of course the guy had this whole spiritual revelation of like, well damn, what's fate? Well, in my personal opinion, fate does exist. It is a thing. Although I don't believe it's predetermined like everyone said. In fact, in my mind, there's three. It makes sense, but if you go back to Greek philosophy and mythology, there was actually 3 sisters of fate. Now, you could sit there and be like, well, that's just because it needed more than one person, right? You could argue, I don't know, what implications, I mean, you could probably even Google search and be like, what is the meaning behind 3 sisters of fate when there were gods of the universe who controlled one thing? So it's like one god's in charge of this, one god's in charge of this, but you have 3 sisters of fate. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but it could very well be possible there are different fates for a person. Yes, fate is a thing, and that thing is due to happen, but what if you change the fate? If you choose a different path? That is where free will comes in. Yes, fate is concrete, it is determined, it is supposed to happen. But then free will comes in and make a decision, and the fate switches. It's almost like a train tracks. You're driving down a train track and you feel like it's a one-way street, and then you made some kind of decision and it actually split, and you shifted onto a different track. Well, people don't know they're doing that consciously. It could just very well be, what do you call them, circumstances. Maybe someone makes a decision unknowingly or unconsciously, it's kind of the same thing, and it changed their fate without them knowing. But most people believe in something called fate and that it's unchangeable. They're just doomed. 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 So they let it be. And they rest in their fate and their destiny. I'm going to keep referencing anime because it's what I do. I watch anime. There's another anime called Inspector. And not like Inspector Gadget, I'm going to... No, it's like in, comma, or hyphen, Spectre, as a ghost. It's about this guy who lives in the, I call it the Devic Kingdom, I don't know what else to call it, but the other reality where he fights monsters, or knows about monsters. And I say another reality, I'm screwing up the story. He lives in one reality, but he sees the secret side of the world with the monsters like yokai and ghosts, and he was actually a part of a specific clan that purified and took it almost like priests. But I don't think he wanted to be a part of the clan. And they forced fed a kid 2 types of monster meat, monster flesh. And in doing so, you gain the powers. Well, the power he got was immortality and sightseeing, or the future, third eye. Essentially, he can predict the future. But the way they explained it in that show is, in order to see the future, he had to die. And when he died, he entered this cosmic reality. Beep. He entered this cosmic reality where he saw strands of light strewn out on the floor. Like it looks like it's actually coming from him. So he's standing there, and all these strings of golden light are sprawled out on the floor, spawning from him. And he literally picks it up and goes, nah. Essentially what he's doing is he's going through fate, reality, or the destiny of that track, let's put it that way, of that train track. And he's looking through and being like, okay, we've got this monster we have to beat. Which realities do we beat him? And he has to go through and kind of look at it and determine which fate they want. What destiny, how they want it to turn out. And, of course, the monkey wrench gets thrown in. It's not like it's as concrete as I'm making it out to be or people think. Because whenever something that derailed, because it turns out there was someone else who was also doing the same, big spoilers, by the way, big spoilers. There was also someone doing a similar thing that was trying to chase him. So they were changing fate, and his fate would change, and then he had to go back and do it again. And then you dive back in and be like, okay, what's going on now? Without getting too esoteric, I mean, maybe I can, I don't know. We'll see how much I can talk about it before we start getting in trouble. But what if society, reality, they're the ones who tell you your fate? So you are born into a world of no regards, where you are told your fate, your destiny, your choices. You are fated to work here, you are fated to do this. And then, because we were conditioned as kids to believe that, it never changes. We never even consider the possibility that fate can change. In fact, I find it funny, Mortal Kombat, the game, keeps popping up in my head. The original one. And you actually pick the skill level, easy, medium, or hard, which is like novice, intermediate, expert. And you can pick the level, and when you pick it, a voice goes, choose your fate, or choose your destiny. And you pick it, and it goes, excellent. And then you fight challenges based off the path you choose. And it's a different set of challenges per track you pick. The whole point of the story is fate's real, but so is free will. Free will allows you to pick your fate. It's not as concrete as you think. And even when you pick your fate, it doesn't necessarily lock in. Because then free will continues to almost jimmy the wheel. It's like you're driving a car that has power steering, but the power steering is gone. So you have to like extra steer to make sure you're not going off the road. I'm not trying to make it sound difficult or scary or hard, but like say for instance another choice you make is actually counterintuitive to the fate that you wanted, well then it bounces back and it shifts the platform again. Well then that's when other people get caught up again and it's like, oh, see, that's my fate. That's my destiny. I tried, I failed, it's over. It's not necessarily, it happens, we're human. It takes a mental training to get yourself back to that point of, you know what, it's okay. It's not as concrete. It's fine. The only reason I even did this video on a non-work day is because it wouldn't come out of my brain. It wouldn't shut up. It wouldn't stop. So I'm finally like, okay. Normally I end up sitting on it for a few days and it just kind of dissipates. That's gonna have to stop. But on top of that, whenever I do tarot readings or oracle readings, it tends to just automatically kind of go with the message I'm talking about. So I've been using every example as I can for my new deck, the Necronomicon deck. I love it, and I'm scared I think it loves me. Which, a little concerning, but it's all good, and I've just kind of been breaking in the deck and trying to get used to its energy. Trying not to be afraid of a deck, because honestly, energies be scary sometimes. But on the bottom of the deck, I had Ace of Swords. Now, the meanings tend to be pretty common across the board, You get tarot cards, or tarot cards. It's like there's the death card. It's like a suit of cards. Even if you get different artwork and different animations, typically it's the same. Although this one seems to have some other cards I haven't seen. So you can actually add in your own. But typically, actual tarot cards and not oracle cards follow a specific suit. So, Ace of Swords. Upright, triumphant conquest, power for the good, benign control, invoke force, intellectual clarity, penetration, force for good. Well, how does that relate? Perhaps it's within the triumph and the conquest of choosing your own fate. Invoked force. Because when you choose your fate, then reality kind of bends around it. But you have to make sure that your inner alignment matches it. Because again, if it swerves and just kind of falters, then yes, your fate is to fail. It's because you didn't match, you didn't align. Somewhere you got off the track. But this card is saying, kick some butt. Kick some butt. It's a sign of kicking butt. We are cutting through fate itself, the red ribbon of fate. Almost in a sense, maybe you're even disconnecting it or severing it from another fate. Because again, that's kind of a tool. Fate is a tool. Fate is not a concrete, mystical force of the universe. Fate is a tool that can bend and flow, just like time. I'm curious to see what other cards there are. I just want to play with this deck, to be honest with you. I don't even need questions. I just want to pull cards. Knave of Cups. Plus, I love the Dark Gothic artwork. I love it so much. Knave of Cups. Where's my cups? Discs. Yeah, discs. Discs are new. This deck has a disc. I don't know what the fuck those are. I mean, oops. Cups. Cuppity cups, 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 cups. Ace of Swords, already read that. Ten of Cups. Knave of Cups. Knave. Now I also need to look up what's a knave. It's like I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue. One of my past lives is like, you know this word, dude. I use it all the time. However, off the top of my head, I don't remember. Six of Cups. Eight of Cups. Nine of Cups. 10 of Cups. That's all the cups. What? Where is the Knave of Cups? 4, 3, 2, 1. Ace. Alright, okay, I forgot. Non-numbered. These are numbered cups. These are numbered cups. Why you guys gotta be screwing with me like this? It's like it's not... There it is. Knave of Cups. It's not in the order I would have put it, and it doesn't make sense to me. Okay. Upright. A young woman or child of a sweet, gentle disposition, tender of heart, kind and gracious towards others, with an unusual and active imagination. Outwardly dreamy and sedate, her courage is aroused. Oh my. In fierce defense of those she loves. She is charming and loyal and friendship, faithful and love and reliable companion. Well, it's kind of making me think of a warrior, because it uses the Ace of Swords, which cuts through pretty much anything. It's almost like your god to your sword. And then we got this awesome woman who seems to be a bona fide badass, proudly wielding this sword, cutting the ribbons of fate, and defending anyone in the path. Now, I don't know if it's an androgynous message, and you don't technically have to be a woman, because the knave, it's kind of like a wench. No, a knave is a scribe is what it said. Most of the time when it says a specific male or female, it tends to be, androgynous energy, but at the same time, sometimes it is specific. This time I don't think it is. I feel like it's just meant to be a warrior. Because in of choosing your own fate, you get a crap ton of challenges. Because then you actually become, I don't want to say controller, because you don't have control. Control is an illusion. But it's like choosing your own fate is giving yourself that Ace of Swords. You're becoming the warrior. But not in the sense of you have to fight, just more of a metaphysical warrior. Because fighting is just kind of at that point, it's like, man, there's no point. Anyways, been fun. Didn't feel so weird this time using this deck. I only pull 1 or 2 cards. This one, like I said, typically is not a full-blown message. I'm going to go back and have to look at that one of these days and do an actual tarot reading where it's like the full thing. But anyways, y'all have a good day.